Eagles decline the White House offer to come visit and spend time with the president. The Eagles did this before. We know the Niners would have went. We know the KC Chiefs would have went. The Eagles, it was a massive no collectively by all the players. What are your thoughts on that? Drop it in the live chat. We've got more to discuss. Godwin related, Matthew Stafford related, Shedeur Sanders related, and then we'll drop a live draft link or two or whatever. We might do a live draft, a big board, little board, or I might just drop a private link, or maybe we all jump into a $25, $50 type of draft if we can get enough people. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. Graveyard style, baby. After hours style. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So go watch the Brock Bowers Genty video. If you haven't spent time watching that video yet, get on over there. This is an amazing video, ADP style. Where do you draft these guys? Can they win leagues for you? Jump on over to that video. Don't miss it. Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty, league winners, ADP league winners from round number 2. There's a ADP row on the main YouTube homepage. So if you go to my main homepage and check out the row that says ADP rankings, you can see this right here. That is where you'll find all of my ADP shows on my main YouTube page, and this video should not be missed. And now we're on to the 3 or 4 news topics that are lingering out there on X and news wires everywhere. The Eagles decided to decline visiting the White House, and honestly, I think it's crazy that everybody gets all bent out of shape when people drop their opinion. But personally, I think that all teams should go. I know we don't talk a lot of politics here, but I think that no matter who's in the White House, the team should go. And if no matter who was president, I think this team should have visited the White House. I think it's kind of wild. People get bent out of shape about it. Like I said, if the Niners would have won the Super Bowl, they would have won. Totally would have won. All those players, for the most part, sway a certain way. It seems like the Eagles are different than let's say the Chiefs. The Chiefs would have probably showed up at the White House. It just kind of depends on, I guess, the situation. But here we are. Here we are talking about it. It is news. Some of you will say, I don't care. Who cares? I care. Some other people care. Maybe you don't care, but I care. I think it's wild. And I think, I'll say it. I think it's disrespectful to the presidency. It's disrespectful to the country, to me, to be honest. But that's me. I'm allowed to say how I feel. And this would go either side. I will say it either way. I'll say it for either side of this. I don't care who's in the White House. I just think that it's something the office should be respected. The office should be respected. That's my point. Doesn't matter who's in there. Doesn't matter if an independent won the presidency. I think you show up. I think a majority of the NFL fan base feels the same way. And I don't think you have to be on one side or the other to even say that, to be honest with you. Chris Godwin, you want a little other news here? Kind of mix it up, talk about something different. Chris Godwin believes, or according to The Athletic, the Chris Godwin situation, they believe that it is almost a certainty that the Bucs will re-sign or want to re-sign Chris Godwin. And that was evident. We said this before it even happened, that there was a high likelihood of this. And the moment that the news broke that Chris Godwin was going to push 1 year, the void year, to the day before the league calendar year begins, to move that, advance that forward rather than make the team pay the money that would be obligated to them. They extended that time frame to negotiate. Chris Godwin will be a Tampa Bay Buck, in my opinion. So there we go. Chris Godwin. Part of me wants him to go elsewhere. I'm like everybody else. I kind of want to see what he could do if he went to Washington. I want to see what he could do, if he went to a new location with the quarterback like Josh Allen. Part of me fears that he goes somewhere bad and wouldn't recover from his injury. Got to remember, and I say this a lot, it always holds true. When players are coming back from And I wouldn't call his injury so devastating as a torn ACL with meniscus damage, et cetera, et cetera. We're talking about, foot, ankle issues. Could be severe, are severe. I'm not trying to make light of it. But whenever you're coming back from a pretty significant injury, the last thing in the world you want to do is learn a new offense. This guy is going to be staying put, not only for that reason, but because he loves where he is. He loves Baker. He's a team guy. He's all about Baker. He's all about the camaraderie that he's built. He's a quality class act. Chris Godwin, an amazing teammate, and he wants to stay a Buck. So I'm all for it. He was rooting for the Chiefs. Who was rooting for the Chiefs, Maverick? Who was rooting for the Chiefs? Are you trying to say me? Are you trying to say I'm rooting for the Chiefs? Is that what you're saying? Doesn't matter who's in the White House. Why would you force people to go? Who said anybody's forcing anybody to go, Maverick? I think you're confused. I'm not. I think you're confused. No one's forcing anybody to go. And the president will probably be, in retrospect, for the Chiefs, yes, because they would have showed up. The Eagles already did this the last time. And, it's okay to... it's okay to be upset, whatever. It's a whole different thing to not show up in, I think, the office, the tradition of this thing. A lot of people say, why does it matter? It's not related to football. It's a tradition. It's a tradition. It's a long-held tradition. So I think when somebody says, I think they should have went, it's disrespectful to the office. And somebody from one side says something along the lines of, it starts getting mad at somebody that has that stance when I haven't even said a single negative thing about one side or the other. I'm just merely saying I think that the team should go to the White House. It is tradition. If it's not a tradition worth doing, maybe they shouldn't do it. Like, you can have that conversation. Okay, anyway, Chris Godwin, 99% chance, I'll call it 95. 95% chance he's a Buccaneer in 2025. He wants it, the team wants it. They wouldn't move that contract in that year, the void year, forward to the day before the league year if they weren't trying to get him inked to a new deal. Matthew Stafford, as we talked about, even as this was brewing, we brought it up. Matthew Stafford has been given, him and his agent being given permission to speak to other teams. So this is becoming a little bit of a likelihood now that Matthew Stafford could be playing football somewhere else. There's a real good chance that Matthew Stafford and his wife, who continues to meddle in these situations, and the team is reportedly growing very tired of Mrs. Stafford getting in the middle of all this stuff, they're pretty much saying, look, you're important to us, but you're not so important to us. We won't let you go test the waters out there. This actually tells you that there's a fracture between Stafford and the Rams if they're willing to let him go. Remember my example earlier when I said to everybody that if your boss came to you, those of you that work in the workplace, and said, and you said to your boss, should I go look for another job? How would you feel about that? And your boss said, yeah, go ahead. Go poke around. Who would feel, raise your hand in the chat if you'd feel not wanted. I'm not asking you to think about why you asked your boss that question, but if it came up and your boss is like, yeah, go kick the tires on some other jobs, you would feel like they don't want you in your current place of employment. The answer you'd want is, we don't want you to go talk to other teams. We want you here. Let's figure this out. Okay, what do you need? What makes you happy? That's not happening here. So there's definitely a divide and a fracture between Matthew Stafford and the organization. If Matthew Stafford is being told, go kick the tires on some other opportunities. So there's certainly some concern here that Matthew Stafford will be in another uniform, which gives more concern than any to Puka Nacua than any other player. Now, if he goes to the New York Giants to throw to Neighbors to the mother freaking moon in 2025, because Neighbors is going to get spoon-fed like Puka Nacua in 2025, because Stafford laser locks so much on one target, he can't even remember how to throw to Cooper Kupp, who didn't, in my opinion, have all the gas leaked out of his tank yet. I think Cooper Kupp had some ability left. So there's a real strong growing possibility Matthew Stafford's playing football for another team in 2025. And you need to start not overreacting or knee-jerk reacting and getting rid of Puka Nacua at a discount. But maybe you start dialing back a little bit your number 4, number 5, number 6 overall best ball selections if you keep hammering and smacking down that draft button next to Puka Nacua's name, because he would be a little bit different value. Now, I'm not saying avoid him. I'm not saying Puka Nacua is a bust. I'm merely just saying he's not going to be worth 4 overall, 5 overall if Matthew Stafford is elsewhere. Who's throwing the football in LA? Is it going to be Fields? That could be interesting. I might like that. Is it going to be Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders? Will it be Justin Fields? Will it be Aaron Rodgers, or will it be a Russell Wilson or Jimmy Garoppolo? We talked about the other night that some team, I don't think McVay's a bad decision maker like this, but one team in the league would consider it. Like, well, a really bad team. We talked about this last night, but he does not deserve it. He does not deserve to be a starting quarter. He doesn't deserve to be a backup in the National Football League. You know what a backup means? It means you're the next man up. And Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't belong in a starting lineup, so he's not even a backup in the National Football League. But there are bad scenarios that I can envision with this situation and good ones. You know, Fields or Cam Ward might be pretty good for Puka in terms of long term. Like, would you rather take a little 20-25 hit on Puka and maybe you overpaid at 4 and 5 value when he's worth maybe 9, 10, 11, 12, which is still amazing? Cam Ward makes Puka top 12 overall. Stafford makes Puka top 5, 6 overall. But Stafford's there for 1.5, 2 years, whereas Ward can give you that top 12 overall value for a lifetime. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens on this, but the permission being granted is a bad thing for the relationship. Shedeur Sanders is not going to throw at the combine. This is kind of known with star players now, and even Travis Hunter decided he's not going to participate in the way that people thought he might as a wide receiver. He's going to participate as a DB, and for some reason people are drawing conclusions that he's not playing wide receiver at the NFL level, and that's going to be a grave mistake. And that's why on Underdog, promo code Smitty, you can find yourself in a position to draft Travis Hunter in double-digit rounds. Use code Smitty. Use this link right here. Smash an Underdog draft. Do it live. And let's do it live. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You guys keep saying Trump cheering for the Chiefs. Yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. Like, if he's probably cheering for the Chiefs because he knew they'd come and visit him. Why would he cheer for a team that is saying they won't even come to the White House? They didn't come to the White House last time. Why would Trump cheer for a team that didn't want to see him last time, or didn't want to come to the White House at all, and doesn't want to see him this time? It makes sense why he probably wouldn't be rooting for that. I don't know. Some of you guys are getting wild in the comments thinking that's like some funny thing. Who cares? Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's amazing, man. Okay, let's keep it civil, though, in the live chat, please. Keep it civil. Godwin, Stafford, Shedeur. Shedeur doesn't lose any value by not throwing at the combine. He will have his pro day. His pro day will be before the NFL draft. The pro day will answer all the questions that we have. Who cares? Again, Terry, you keep saying that. Other people keep saying that. Who cares about this? It's news because it's the Philadelphia Eagles team. It's about football, Terry. And this is news. It is news. Whether you like it or not, the Eagles, the team that just won the Super Bowl, news broke that they're not going to the White House. Whether you like it or not, you can like it, you can dislike it. I don't care. I'm presenting the news, Terry. And it is something that is of substance and substantial to talk about it because it's the team that just won the Super Bowl. Like, what, are we not supposed to talk about it? Are we that sensitive where we can't even have a conversation about it, Terry? You know I love you, pal, but come on, bro. All right. We're going to do a draft here, I think. We should probably do a draft. If anybody would like to jump into the draft, here is the link, my fine people. Hit this link right there. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. I'm going to pin that link in the live chat. Let's go into a... Let's see here. let's go into a little board. Little board, $3 draft. Scroll over, go to the home page, go to the top tab, which says lobby, and you're going to want to have scroll over to the cards till you get to big board, hit the green button, smash it. Smash it. Keep it civil. Johnny, like even this comment, Johnny, I don't like it. Like even and I haven't even told you what side or which way I sway or whether I even care to have that discussion. I haven't said that. Okay, I haven't said anything. I'm merely presenting the facts that they're not going to the White House, and that no matter who it was in office, if it was Kamala in office and the Chiefs won and didn't want to go, it would be disrespectful to me. That's my opinion. It has nothing to do with sides. It's a disrespectful move to the office of the presidency, no matter who's in it. I don't care if Kamala was president or Trump or whoever, or if Biden won again and he was there and everybody was making jokes there. It would be disrespectful not to go see Biden, not to go see Trump, not to go see Kamala. That's my opinion. I can have my opinion, and I feel just fine expressing that because I'm not even getting political. I'm not even getting political. Some of you that are mad about that comment or mad about it in general are the ones getting political. You're the one getting political. You're the one in here throwing out negativity. Now there is a couple people in here. Keep it nice, okay? Johnny, your specific comment I don't like. It talks bad about the Eagles. Your specific comment I don't want. I don't want people getting angry and mad at each other in the live chat about this. Have enough ability to have a conversation. I'm not going to dance around. You know, people say, oh, don't talk politics. I'm not talking politics. And even if I wanted to talk politics, we're big boys and girls. We can have a conversation. Can we not? Can we not? Up in 3 picks. Let me show the screen. I swear, man. I swear. Some people just really can't even be civil. They can't even be civil. Little board, share my screen. Hopefully some of you got into this draft. We are up in 2 picks. Phone lines are open. You can call in and get all mad too if you want. The phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious that people can't mention politics. Don't mention politics. I'll mention whatever I want, first of all. And second of all, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. I'm going to go Genty. That's a big deal. You know what's a big deal? Ashton Genty. That's a big deal. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a real big deal.
Let him cook.
Ashton Genty, Nico, BT. Phone lines open. Do it live. Yeah, anybody's so upset, you're free. You're free to call and vent either side if you want. I'm not gonna stray someone away from, as long as you're nice to everybody. There's no negativity or hatred allowed on my chat or in my phone line anyway. So it doesn't matter what side you're on. And you don't even need to talk about anything. I don't want to get into the politics of it. Some of you are the ones doing it in the live chat. I merely give you the facts, the information that the Eagles didn't accept the invitation to go to the White House. And some of you going, why are we even talking about this? Because it's news. It just happened today. And it's the Super Bowl champions, news about the Super Bowl champions. We talk about the parade that they go to. We talk about the celebration that they go to. We talk about who won the MVP. We talk about this. We talk about that. They're going here. They're not going here. What? Because Trump's involved, we're not allowed to speak about it? If Kamala had won and everybody said, oh, they're going to the White House, are you not allowed to report on that? And Ashton Genty falls to the pick here. Neighbors and Genty, my two favorite players of the day. Let's go. Let's go.
Let him cook.
By the way, for anybody that thinks they're going to pull a fast one and do a $50 bold prediction, there are 3 players that are off limits. Unless it's a totally different prediction. Like, you can't just try and one-up the prediction. I put 3 predictions on the board for me. I can't win the contest, but this is going to make it a little bit more of a tough situation. Here are the 3 predictions. The prediction I put on the board, politics aside, the NFC champions would be the Philadelphia Eagles. I put it on the board, I think, in March or whatever. My 3 predictions on the board are off limits. Here they are. Smash, smash, smash. Neighbors, wide receiver 1. JSN, top 4 wide receiver. Ashton Genty, top 5 running back. Those 3 players, unless it's a completely different, angle of the prediction, those 3 players are off the board. Everything else is fair game. And we have Ray G. You can see at the very, 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 very top. Ray G is the first $50 prediction. And so that's up already if you want to go check that out, or if you want to add to it. I mean, go ahead, Justin, you're live.
Hey, so I have 2 questions. So during one of the other lives, you said that I get something because I initiated kind of the $50 draft. Do I get a free bold prediction? I mean, not free, but do I get a bold prediction?
Did you dropped a $50, right? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, what do you want?
I'll think on mine.
Okay.
My other question was, how do you feel about the Colts receivers and their overall passing offense? Because, I think they're a unique situation where basically all their receivers are sub 100. I think Michael Pittman's 102 or something. Alex Pierce is
why do you think that is, though?
What?
Why do you think that is, though?
They were terrible. The passing offense as a whole was terrible, and I'm not defending it, but
I just don't.
Does it make me a lunatic that I still kind of leave the door open, cracked for Anthony Richardson?
No, not at all. But he's going to do a lot of massive production through the run if he does succeed. If he succeeds, he's going to be 70% of the reason you like him is because he runs the ball, runs 2-3 touchdowns in. You're not going to love him because of how he makes Downs a consistent wide receiver, but I like Downs in the right territory. I could see them going after a receiver. Let's say they brought in Amari Cooper and we're like, well, where is he going? But there's a reason that the entire world is screw drafting Colt wide receivers because AR5 does not make them superstars. He's kind of look at Lamar. Lamar is a big time running quarterback that is a good passer, can have amazing passing seasons, but he has struggled. He has had ups and downs in his career, and he doesn't make top 20 wide receivers. He just doesn't. I venture to say AR5 will pretty much fall in line with that and probably not produce consistent top 20 wide receivers. It's just the way it is.
I think that's fair. Now, something I would question is, Alec Pierce got a decent amount of TDs last year. 7, and he got them in big play fashion. Do you think that whether it be Alec Pierce or Adonai Mitchell,
I think I just answered. Yeah, I just answered it though. I'm not interested in those. Hold on one second. Josh Allen, I like Chase Brown here a lot, but I'm going to go Josh Allen. I got balance as balanced as you can get. Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty, Josh Allen. I personally love that start. I like Chase Brown a lot. I'm liking Chase Brown more at the 4.1 and on. Not saying I don't draft him at 3.10 or 3.11 to 3.08, but when he's my 4th drafted player, and if you're at the turn, it doesn't matter. You can take him, and then back-to-backs. But as my 4th drafted player, I think every single bit of risk I'm willing to take on the Bengals not drafting somebody, making sure they stick to the plan, all of that. They've talked about dialing him back. There's all those things. I'm 100% all full go, full send on Chase Brown at 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, or really 3.11, 3.12. But right here at this 32 pick, I love the Josh Allen getting the number 1 overall score in all of fantasy football potentially versus anything else that's sitting here. You know, had maybe McBride been there, Bucky or Breece Hall or Kyron, but we're drafting with our community, very hard to grab those 3 running backs that late, but it's possible 1 or 2 fall. Josh Allen's fantastic there, or JD5, either one. They're both neck and neck the number 1 overall quarterback to me. Lamar's right there. Lamar just has had the ups and downs, so he's third for me because we've seen him fail, you know, several times. He had a great year last year, but, you know, part of me feels like, you know, I'd rather take the gamble on Josh Allen than Lamar. On the clock here, man, this is tough. Jameson Williams, Devontae Smith, Tet McMillan, Chuba Hubbard. I'm going to go. So tough. I'm going to bank on Tet being a superstar. So I'm going to roll with that there. Feel like I got a little bit sniped out of Rashee Rice, out of a few players that I think could have typically fallen in a non-sniping environment. So that kind of sucked. I was tempted to go Jalen Hurts and just dominate the quarterback position, but bully quarterback is tough. It's not that I don't take that approach sometimes, but what I would advise somebody to do is not do something crazy where you have to have things go perfectly solid for you, like taking, let's say, Bowers at the turn first, second round, or taking a quarterback too early, or going bully quarterback or bully tight end when you're in a sniping environment, because the values won't fall, so you can't catch back up. But if you're drafting outside of our community, those bold moves make more sense because you can catch up somehow, some way. Go ahead, Justin. If you're going to ask a different question and I cut you off, I'm sorry, but go ahead. But I'm not interested in Colt receivers. Doesn't matter how you frame it.
I mean, it's fair. Like, they could easily just be a terrible passing offense, and I recognize that and understand it. I'm good for now. I can.
No, you can sit. You can sit there, just mute yourself. Mute yourself if you got another one pop back in. I would say, like, let's say they trade AR5. I like Shane Steichen a lot. So if they bring in Justin Fields, then I'm kind of interested. You know, who else did they bring in? They traded for somebody wild, then we'd have a different conversation. But AR5's got a lot to learn, and there's no lock that they even like keep him in the lineup. They benched him last year. It was ridiculously, I think, reckless, and to me it means that they should get rid of him. If you benched AR5 without even giving him like a long time, it was relatively still early in the season for me to be even thinking about that. And the fact that they benched him makes me feel like they've already given up on him, whether they're acting like they're not and we're still behind him, he's still our guy. I don't agree. I think they completely crapped the bed on this one. So,
yeah, since high school, he just has not played, and a lot of that is because he's been injured. Like, I'll give people that, but I think you need to give the guy experience, like, especially because you take him out of college in a situation where in college he didn't play that much.
All right, hang tight. Mute yourself. I'm going to go over to Travis real quick. But Travis, before you talk, let me pick Malik Neighbors, Ashton Genty, Josh Allen, Tet McMillan on the clock right now. Not loving all of these players that are here. I mean, I like Kenneth Walker. I love Kamara a little bit. But Laporta stands out to me as being a super massive value here. I'm completely balanced across the board, which is my preference to draft, especially this year. I think best player available will always be the way to go. No doubt about it, always be the way to go. But the sub strategies below best player available, like, does it open up to hero? You know, because everyone says best player available, I go hero. Well, you can go hero in best player available if you're taking the best player available and that happens to be hero. Like the sub strategy. The sub strategy for me, hopefully best player available gives you balance. Because balance this year will be better than anything, in my opinion. My early assessment on watching every single type of team, hero, early wide receiver, early quarterback, late quarterback, bully tight end, bully quarterback, robust RB, zero RB, zero wide receiver, whatever approach it may be, none of those trump best player available, no pun intended for the topic tonight. None of those are better. None of them. are better than balanced this year, in my opinion. Why do I say that? Because I've explored enough drafts to say, we get through a draft in round 4, 5, 6, it gets really dry. And I would say there's almost dead zones this year for a handful of positions at different parts in the draft. And to me, it makes a lot of sense to have balance to prepare for whatever dead zone you might hit. So in this case right here, Marion Hampton's good. Caleb Johnson's good. Jaden Reed, let's see here. Debo's interesting, I suppose. I'm probably going to go with Hampton and assume that a team that drafts him is drafting him to be a starter. That could change as other values rise and fall in the draft, and then the landing spot becomes unpredictable, and then some team that doesn't need Hampton that much drafts him. But right now, as it stands, it feels like the NFL teams and owners and decision makers do view Hampton as an every down back. So for me, I feel like it's probably one of the safer running back selections if you're going with the early group, and you obviously can't get Genty, which I have Genty. So I kind of like this running back stable. Let me show you my team real quick, and then Travis, you can go. I got 2 rookie running backs. I kind of like this approach. I got Malik Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Laporta, Josh Allen. Very balanced attack. Go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, real quick with the Colts. I just don't get what the Colts did with AR5. Like, you draft the guy 4th overall, and I know he had some injuries, but it's like you draft a guy with such a raw skill set, you should be all in on developing him. And like you said, after he's healthy, they're playing Flacco and kind of trying to compete it's like, I think they just botched that situation pretty badly. But with Shedeur Sanders, could you see him, like, just because of situation, if a team, because we talk about how he has to land in the right spot, do you see him falling, like, out of the top 10 into the teens, or do you think if he's there for, like, the Raiders, the Jets, or the Saints, one of them would take him?
The only way he could fall out is if there was some controversy, like a very big controversy. Maybe he interviews badly with 5 straight teams, and they're like, this kid doesn't know left from right, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, something crazy. If nothing goes awry or astray, he's a top 5 pick, or top 6 because of the Raiders 6 pick. But it's a weird for me envisioning, and it doesn't mean it won't change. It definitely could change in a snap, but it's hard for me to envision one of the quarterbacks being available after the Giants' number 3 pick. Because I think one of them will take a quarterback, and then the Giants will take the other one if there is one of the 2 available. I just can't envision. I just can't envision a world where both the Titans and the Cleveland Browns both pass on Cam Ward. But the problem is that means Shedeur's throwing to, which isn't necessarily a problem, but I like Ward more. But Shedeur's throwing to Neighbors, and I'd rather have Ward throw to Neighbors. But Shedeur and Neighbors have a good rapport already. Shedeur seems to really like Neighbors. Neighbors loves Sanders. They've been throwing footballs together, practicing. So there's a lot of camaraderie and rapport already. So I'm kind of excited for that, though. That is pretty nice. Either way, it's a huge upgrade for Neighbors. I just think there's a chance for something special with Sanders, but throwing to Neighbors, but something maybe even a level above that if it's Cam Ward. But I like both of them. But here's the thing, is if Cam Ward goes to Tennessee at 1 and Shedeur goes to the Giants at 3, guess what quarterback I like more? Shedeur. I mean, situation is king. And, it will certainly influence where I have these quarterbacks. Now, Cam Ward in Cleveland and Shedeur in New York with Neighbors, I think Cam Ward, there's an argument that can be made that Cam's still going to make something special out of that landing spot. Because I like Cleveland. I think they're quietly a pretty damn good landing spot. Right here with this pick, 7th round, almost 8th round, I can't see why Debo is a risk here. So I'm going to go Debo Samuel.
No, that's a good spot.
Let me get this. Hold on 1 second, Travis. 920. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Drew from Green Bay.
Who from Green Bay? Who?
Drew.
Drew. Okay, Drew, hang tight for me real quick, all right? I'll come right for you.
Yep.
Drew from Green Bay. All right, go ahead, Travis. Continue what you were saying.
No, the other thing I was going to say was if he did fall down to the Raiders, like, how do you see Bowers if Shador is with the Raiders next year? I mean, you can at least replicate what he did this year, right? Bowers in terms of numbers, or
I like it because
there could be a little drop off. Or
I like it because he's known for short, highly accurate, but very very conversion friendly passes. That's what Cam Ward was even making fun of him when they were working out together. Cam Ward's like, of course you're known for this accuracy because all you do is throw these small little check downs and all that. And so they were arguing with each other and kind of banter back and forth. But yeah, I mean, Bowers probably will be fine with Sanders. I think that would be good. I'm not concerned with Sanders. I like him a lot. I think in New York, the reason why I like Cam Ward better is because he's already, in my opinion, polished and ready to go. Shador just needs the right coach. And if he goes to New York, which is the most likely landing spot, he's got Dable. So Dable with Shador throwing to neighbors might be better than Cam Ward in Cleveland or Tennessee. But at least in Cleveland, there's an argument to be made. In Tennessee, I like Shador in New York with Dable. Dable's a quarterback whisperer. Hold on one second. Let me make my pick here. We've got I'm going to go with my trusty approach. I keep beating this like a dead horse, but I love this ETN situation. Stand down on that. Just hang tight while I explain that if you're new. Josh Allen, Genty, Hampton, ETN, Malik Neighbors, Tet McMillan, Debo Samuel, Laporta. Really balanced team.
I like the team a lot. I like that.
Really balanced squad. All right, go ahead.
One of Genty or Hampton are going to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both going to be good, but right Randy, so I think it'd be great.
All right, let me go to Rock Out, then over to Drew, and then back over to Justin, and then back over to Travis. Go ahead, Rock Out.
Okay.
I gave you my bad team.
Yeah, go ahead. Good wait for that
Joe
signal.
Burrow, JT, Colt, Williams, Godwin, Neighbors, Evans, Cup, Laporta.
Yeah. I like. Who was name your running backs again? You got Burrow, and then who are the RBs?
Oh, JT, Colin Williams, and Godwin.
Kyron? Okay. Yeah. I like it, bro. And your number one wide receiver is who? Who do you have? You have Kyron, JT, Burrow, and who's your wide receiver one?
Neighbors, and then Evans, and then Cup, and then tight end Laporta in the 6th round.
That's like taking candy from a baby. Nice job. Real good team. All right, let me go over to Drew real quick. I'll come back, Rock Out. Drew, you're live?
Hey there, I just saw that Shador Sanders isn't going to be working out at the Combine. I don't know if he's going to do any of the 40 time or anything like that, but he's not
interviews.
Throwing.
Yeah, we already did that on the news part of the show.
And I think that's smart for him. And also I think Cam Ward should take that path because they're in top 10 talk already. But I do think that they do need to go to their pro day and work out.
Well, of course
I don't think they could just stand and not work with, not.
Let me give you the lowdown. Let me give you the lowdown because we already talked about this at the beginning of the show. But Shador's not going to work out at the Combine. He's going to do interviews, conduct interviews, focus on that, speaking to teams. He will have his pro day. So it's not anything under debate. Marvin Harrison Jr. did it with wide receivers. A lot of big name players tend to do that. Whenever you're a top 10 overall pick and you got nothing but maybe bad things that can unravel from your times and different things that the Combine maybe tests that are not in your wheelhouse, then you're only going to drop in value. So you're better off just kind of holding back. But that's expected with top 10 talents, I think, going forward. I think even Genty, we'll see what Genty ends up doing. But there's something to, like, if you were Ward and you want to stand out even more, you could go that route. If you think you're 40 time, like if all the skills cater to you, and you could have one of the most marvelous combines ever, then it would be in your advantage to kind of explore some of it. But they're all going to their pro day. They're going to do the 40 most likely. Some of them might not run. Some of the quarterbacks don't run. but they're going to go to their pro day anyway, so there's going to be a chance for them to lose value or gain value there as well. But I think a lot of people don't like the combine because they don't have their wide receivers that they're friendly with, and it can make you look bad. So if you're a top 10 guy, you just stay that way. And you go to your combine, you get to choose your wide receivers. They're friendly hands that are going to catch the ball, and it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I was going to say that with the timing, quarterbacks are a lot different than other positional groups because, they do have to rely on the timing and all that. But also what I was going to mention is it makes the race towards the top interesting because I still think we need to consider Jackson Dart as a potential top 10 pick. Now, he went from middle round to bottom of the first, but if he goes to the combine and nails it, and Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders aren't going to throw, and then he goes to his pro day and nails it again, and he's got the quickest release of all three of them. The ball pops off his hand better than all the other two.
Yep, he's definitely third.
He does have problems with his footwork and all that. Like, he's when he...
Your phone's breaking up there, Drew. But yes, Dart is our third here on at least my third ranked quarterback. He's definitely the next man up. If there was to be a third quarterback that could do well, it is Dart. Dart's definitely the guy. Now, I think he does, like you say, have some things to work on. Where he goes would be very vital. If, let's say, in a world where the Raiders miss out and they get screwed and they don't get one of their quarterbacks in their mind, they could move down for Dart. I don't think he goes in the top 10, but we've seen guys like Cam Newton, if you remember back, some of you were in diapers, but when Cam Newton, his draft, he went from rags to riches in the 11th hour. He was not going to go number one. It was a turn of events that happened really quickly. So anything is possible, based on workouts, based on news, based on anything. So it's certainly possible that, the tables turn quickly. But I'd say top 10, probably not.
And then real quickly, and I'll hang up, is about Matt Stafford. I think, everyone's going to talk about him to the Steelers, but I think him to the Colts would be really interesting with Jonathan Taylor and let AR5 sit behind Stafford for a little bit and learn. And, I think there gets to be a point where someone's playing so bad that they just need to get off the field to get away from it and then have, kind of a regrouping and see how a real, guy who's been to the Super Bowl, who's won it all, who, see how he does it and then learn from him. And then Stafford would only be there a year or two and then move on.
I have to disagree with you there. Not that I don't think that it's possible, but I think if you trade for Matthew Stafford, you're trading away AR5. He might even be in the deal. But if you're bringing in Stafford, you're giving up on AR5. You might as well trade him away to a team that he still has value to. For example, if the Raiders wanted a quarterback right now, let's say Stafford was going to get traded to the Colts, which I don't think is a landing spot. Let me just say that too. I don't think it's even remotely inside my top 5 likely landing spots, like even at close. But if I was to try and work this out with you, if let's say the Rams didn't want to have AR5 back, they don't like him, they trade him to the Raiders for significant draft capital. If they bench him because they're clearly don't believe in him, bro, it doesn't matter if you think you could maybe bring him back later, you clearly are benching him again. And that's done. You can't go back from that. You can't bench him a second time, bro. This is nonsense. No offense. I love you, pal. But you can't bench him again. So if you put him on the bench and you bring Stafford over, now the next offseason, AR5's garbage. He's worth nothing. Because that's what happens. The NFL's fickle and they look at things differently. They don't say, oh, well, he's sitting there and we liked him a couple years ago. Now he's a backup quarterback, and that's the way the NFL works. And sometimes it's weird. And I think a little bit like you. Like, I'm the kind of guy that a year later I could swing around and go, remember, let's get AR5. Now they think he's not worth anything and no one else is going for him. But there's also something to, he sits on the bench another year, he's going to be like Trey Lance. The cobwebs will pile up. He'll lose all edge or advantage that he may have had in this category or skill set. He'd be toast, really, at the end of the day. They'd have to trade him, and now would be the time. The Raiders would take a gamble on him. They pay a little less than I think the Colts would want, but they would definitely go get AR5. Another team, I mean, there's so many teams that would take a gamble on AR5. You get so much value right now, but I don't think Stafford wants to go to the Colts, bro. He's at the end of his career. He wants a Super Bowl ring. That's all he cares about right now with the money. But the money's going to come with wherever he goes. So his secondary filter to decide where to go is not going to be Indy. I don't think he even thinks remotely, even close to what we're talking about here, that this is a team that he could go to win a Super Bowl. You know, I understand where you're coming from, but there's just no way.
Can I push back a little bit there?
Sure.
Because I think that they could be a potential Super Bowl team. I mean, they almost made the playoffs with a really, really bad quarterback. They weren't even close to average. Like, their quarterback play was horrendous. And they have Jonathan Taylor. I mean, they have some pieces in place that, you know, and Stafford isn't the age anymore where he can sit and take all these hits. So to be able to hand the ball off and, you know, protect him a little bit, I think would also be good for him. So that's where I think, like, you know, a really good pocket passer could really elevate the Colts to a level where maybe they'd get there, maybe not, but I think it's within reason.
Are you a Colts fan?
Is that worth
No,
it,
I'm a
though?
Packers
Like,
fan.
to just be kind of
Because who's he throwing to, bro? I mean, there's nothing here.
One and done team.
I mean, who's he throwing to?
No, you're talking about going from a very, very bad quarterback, like a 30th overall quarterback, to a top 10 quarterback. That can give you a bunch of wins.
Yeah, but I don't think in his mind he wants to go and take that gamble when he could walk straight over to a different organization that has more potential. Now, granted, teams without a quarterback don't have a lot of like contender potential anyway, but the Giants would be one where he gets Malik Neighbors, the most attractive landing spot you could come across. The Vikings would be amazing because this is a contending team from Jump Street. The Jets would be a very attractive place to go play football because they also have pieces. So there's like 3 or 4 teams that have the ability to really do this. I don't think the Colts are one of them. I disagree, and that's fine. You can have your opinion. I don't hate it. I just don't agree that the Colts are a team that's going to win or a place he wants to even play. From what I gather, I'm
going to hang up now, but thanks for taking my call.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Later, bro.
All right, bye.
Can I chime in a little bit on the Colts thing? So statistically, the Colts defense is like one of the worst passing defenses and rushing defense, statistically at least.
Okay. Good talk, Justin. All right. Let me go over to I don't know where Justin went. Justin, call back. Your line cut out, or that was all you wanted to say. I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Call back. You're cutting in and out, bro. Rock out. Go ahead. Let's let Justin call back in. I just don't understand the argument here at all. I know Justin's going to call back and try and argue the Colts, but they're not like there's nothing here that indicates they're ready. Like JT, good player, obviously, but there's nothing else. There's no wide receivers. They don't like this is like there's not anything that he can.
Receivers have to develop still.
How are you going to take this team to the Super Bowl? Like you could maybe take them to the playoffs, but that's not what Stafford's going to look at.
Right.
And not to mention, you got to think about it from this perspective. If you're the Colts, you have no interest in this either, because you don't have the ability in your mind necessarily to win now. Probably, I think you guys are being overly optimistic. I think the Colts organization would even say maybe in a year or two, sure, if we get the right receiver in or whatever. But Stafford doesn't have that kind of time. He's got maybe 1-2 years left, and there's just no way that this organization's gonna feed him $100 million guaranteed. Tie themselves to him, and then especially when they have AR5, this young quarterback that still has potential. There's still potential. If they want to give up on that potential, it's probably to go get a new, younger version. Let's go try and get they try and go get Dart, or they try and trade up, or they bring in a bridge quarterback and say we're scrapping the season and we're going after Arch Manning. Let's get Manning in Indy. I mean, it sounds like something that's going to happen anyway. But go ahead, Justin. You can argue the Colts, but You're going to get nothing but pushback from me.
So I was the other way. So statistically, we're talking about offense, but statistically, the Colts defense is like bottom 10 in like points allowed, yards allowed, like the bad way, like passing yards allowed, rushing yards. Like they're bottom 10 in like a lot of categories defensively. Like they need work defensively.
Yeah. I think even so, who said Vikings would be Stafford's best shot? Agree, hybrid. I think, again, you're talking about a team that's already right there, you know. The Raiders are the one spot that I like a little bit, but they're still also, I mean, they're still a little bit away, but like if you believe that a team might, you know, overestimate their ability, I could see Brady thinking that, you know, I could see Brady, given he's an older person, he's defying age. Maybe he thinks Stafford, you know what I mean? There's some psychology behind that. Maybe Brady thinks Stafford's got another 5-6 years, you know, and maybe he does. He finds the fountain of youth. For anybody that needs an example of somebody that was the most injury-prone person to walk the planet Earth, it was Frank Gore. Frank Gore was the most injury-prone player in the National Football League. He had ankle, shoulder, wrist, feet, knee, ACLs, everything you could think about. And then for whatever reason, like midway through his career, the man never got hurt again. His body ossified. I don't know what happened, but that guy is not somebody that got injured and you even you concern yourself with it. So like anything's possible, but Stafford's played with a broken back. He's had rib injuries. He's constantly getting leveled and smashed into the ground, and I just think the last place he's going to go. Now, if Indy was able to trade AR5 for a wide receiver, let's say, and then they got Stafford, that would be one thing. You know, that could maybe change the dynamic. But my answer is hell no, unless there's a receiver in place. And I don't think he'd go on spec that they're going to get it done. Like, oh, we'll bring a receiver in. The only thing that could be interesting is if they trade for Kupp, or Kupp gets released and Kupp goes to Indy, and then Stafford gets traded to Indy or whatever. Like, something like that could happen. But I don't think Indy's going to be his choice. I really don't. I don't think there's enough appeal for him on the surface level. And it'd have to be such a grave situation that he'd be like, okay, this is my only shot. He's going to have much better situations open their door. Rock out. What else you got?
What do you think about Simpson, the running back?
Who?
Simpson or Sampson?
Yeah, Sampson. No, Simpson.
OJ?
OJ?
Sampson.
OJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, love. I mean, you know, come on, rock out. You know how much I love Dylan Sampson. You know how much I love him, bro. I mean, he's a moon man. He's a moon man.
The moon man, dropping loads and out.
But yeah, I mean, situation's king. Where he goes, nobody knows. And if a team doesn't view him as a starter and they draft him, then he can't get himself into a position where he can do what we believe he can do. However, I think we all can agree that it wasn't the most ideal situation, at least on the surface level, of Bucky going to Tampa, and that worked out beautifully. And it wasn't, at least initially for a lot of people, Gibbs going to Detroit. People threw their arms up. They're like, oh my God, Swift is there, Monty's there. This is devastating. And it turned out to be the best place in the world for him. So Dylan Sampson could go somewhere where it's a little bit cloudy. At first, Kamara was the same way. When Kamara was drafted to the Saints, it was crowded. It was cloudy. He was a top 5 overall running back to me before he took a snap. I said Kamara would be a top 1 to 5 running back. I said on CBS and NBC Sports Radio back when before he had taken a snap, he would be a top 5 running back. And I got a lot of pushback on that one because he was in a cloudy environment. Just like Gibbs was going to be a top 5 running back, he was in a cloudy environment. Bucky, admittedly, I didn't have as a future top 5 to 10 running back prior to the draft, but he's an example that I think is a very important example to talk about where nobody did. And it's because a lot of his growth happened at the NFL level. And we got to remember that that can happen. And that's why sometimes even I got to dial back my, oh, he can't do this or he can't be that. Because truly, there's Kurt Warners and Tom Brady's and Bucky Irving's that they develop when they get into the NFL. And it's just sometimes in Kurt Warner's case, he was 27 years old, I believe. So it wasn't that he had time to grow or whatever. But in the case of Tom Brady, in the case of especially Bucky Irving, these guys get in the NFL and they're still kids, you know. Maybe some of them are 20 and 21, but some of them, like CeeDee Lamb, he grew a half an inch in the NFL. After his rookie year in the summer, he grew a half an inch. And so these kids are still developing, you know. And so there's definitely opportunity for a guy like Dylan Sampson to go to Buffalo and we're like, holy crap, this sucks. And then he becomes a stud, you know, in a year. He could go a place for Dylan Sampson. Washington would be unreal. It'd be quietly unreal. Yeah. Giants would be very, very quietly solid. A place like Dallas, if he was, you know, behind, you know, even if they brought back Dowdle and they drafted Dylan Sampson, that could be quietly good. A place like Minnesota would be awesome. A place like, even if Aaron Jones is brought back, he's older. They could bring Aaron Jones back, which they pretty much are, almost guaranteed to bring Aaron Jones back. Just like the Bucs are almost guaranteed to bring back Chris Godwin, with the two parallel pieces of news where both Chris Godwin and Aaron Jones elected to help the team out by moving their void date to the day before the league calendar year begins. And that way the teams can have more time to give them their contracts. So they're almost guaranteed to stay. And in that case, when we think about it, Aaron Jones, Minnesota, that's the best place for a running back to quietly land. That's where if Scadaboo went to Minnesota and they had already signed Aaron Jones to a new deal, I'd be celebrating a dynasty. I'd be a little bit like upset in redraft, but like from a midseason monster steal value, we're going to scoop him up in drafts as our Charbonnet of 2025 that will get ignited later. That's going to be a fun approach for Scadaboo if he landed in that kind of situation. So Sampson, the same thing. But good question. Yep. All right, Justin, final thoughts before I start booting everybody off the line.
Yeah, so bold predictions. Michael Pittman will be a top 30 fantasy wide receiver.
I'm not saying this can't happen, but I sounded like you were anti. Are you assuming he goes somewhere else, but you were anti, you know, Colt?
I mean,
you were like, I'm going the other way.
Down. Like, somebody has to get the big plays, and they paid the guy, so like you got to try to work that out, don't you?
But here's the thing: is I don't even think it's that bold, and yet it's not even like it's kind of weird. I feel two things at the same time, like Sesame Street taught us when we were kids. I'm not even impressed if this lands, and I'm not even liking as the bold prediction anyway. Like it's one of those ones that if you're right, people in hindsight are going to go top 30 prediction. Like anybody can be a top 30 wide receiver. I do not want to put my bold prediction on Michael Pittman. Like that's the guy I'm picking, but the prediction doesn't really sting. You know, I don't know. If I were you, I'd pick another one. I just don't think this is going to win, even if it's true. I mean, if he was top 10 and you said top 10, that would be crazy. But 30, top 30?
I don't think he's going to be top 10.
If I were you, I will pick a different one. I don't want to talk you out of it. It's your prediction. It's your prediction, so I don't want to talk you out of it. But I don't know that this is the one that's going to win it.
Yeah, I'll think about it and I'll get back to you to see if.
Like who are your guys? Who are your favorite guys this year?
I mean,
Pittman.
Like, okay, let me give you this one. I think Jordan Mason at least will have 7 TDs.
There you go. I mean, that's better. 7 TDs. Do I think that would win if somebody else landed something kind of okay? Maybe not, but I still think that's better. I think it's better. Like if it was like 10 TDs, it'd be different. I'm not trying to sway you. I want you to do it your way. And by the way, Jordan Mason's here to be had if I want him. Let's see, my team so far, I got Josh Allen Fields, I got Genty, Hampton, ETN, Scadaboo, Tank Bigsby, Neighbors, Tet, McMillan, Debo, Cooper, Whittington. I'm going to time out here if I'm not careful. Man, that sucks. I timed out on who'd I get? Geno Smith, son of a. Gotta be kidding me.
Oh man.
Okay, so is that what you want your bold prediction to be? 7 TDs? You can think about it. Why don't you think about it? I don't want to rush you. But like,
I'm going to think it over, yeah.
I feel like, Pittman and Mason, like, come on, man. I mean,
like Jordan Mason,
I know, but yeah, I don't mind this. I don't mind this one. 7 TDs though, like, is that crazy? I mean, even in a backup role, he could maybe sniff it, like 5. That's. I don't mind it. If you want to put it up there, I'll put it up there. And I like Jordan Mason. And if I would have said Jordan Mason 7 TDs last year, I think people it would have. And I did, but I didn't say 7 TDs, but Mason will win leagues or could win leagues, and he definitely helped with that. But like since he's already kind of done it, and there's a good chance McCaffrey's getting hurt, this wouldn't be wild. I don't think anybody's going to say, "Oh my God, you're Nostradamus." He already did it, and Christian McCaffrey's got bilateral chronic Achilles tendonitis. I'm going to shut up. If this is what you want, I'm not here to sway people's predictions. That's not my job. Why don't you think about it? But Mason 7 TDs is where you're leaning. If that's what you want, you go after it, big boy.
I'll think on it.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you. Love you, bud.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Rock out. Final thoughts. Geno Smith. Son of a B.
Think I'm good. Appreciate it.
All right. Rock out to the moon or Mars. Where are you at these days? Mars or Saturn?
To Mars.
Where?
Venus.
Venus. I don't have a Venus button yet. That makes sense. All right, rock out. We'll see you later, bro. Travis, final thoughts.
Yeah, I think the other thing with Stafford too is that I don't know that he so much even fits with what they want to do there because they don't have a wide receiver one, and he notoriously, hyper targets that Cooper Kupp and that, Puka Nakua, where they don't have one of those guys there. So he doesn't spread the ball around, So, but I was going to ask, how do you like on Pittsburgh if they were to
Stafford? Yeah, I mean, same. I think even a little bit better result than the Aaron Rodgers situation that we're dialing. Even if he didn't get Adams, like Stafford and Pitt is, I think, maybe a little bit better than Aaron Rodgers and Adams to Pittsburgh. But I don't know that it results in more than one playoff win. But that's still, like, not everybody can win the Super Bowl, and doesn't mean it's a failure. Even getting to, 2 playoff wins is possible with Matthew Stafford for Pittsburgh.
And just real quick, and I'll jump off. I think with the bold predictions, obviously, anyone can do whatever they feel is bold, but like 7 touchdowns, like you said, you could get 5 off of a backup role. So in terms of actually trying to win, like the one this year was obviously Jonnu, top 5 tight end. That might even be extremely bold, and that's why she won it. But it's got to be something that, like, it might be attainable, but you really don't think would happen. That's what makes it bold, I guess you could say, like, someone said something about Stroud being a top 5 quarterback this year. That would be a bold prediction for him to bounce back, something like that. But I know it's a tough balance because you want to pick something that you can get right, but there's going to be so many crazy bold ones if someone hits.
Yeah, we really didn't have a lot land. Most of those completely missed. So if you landed something you were remotely close, so that would make it to the vote. I mean, if that's what you want to do is be 4th or 5th place. But
one way to look at it.
I think that what you want to do is up it a little bit. Like, let's say, and I said this before. Let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to take Damian Martinez here. He's actually a pretty big sleeper running back of mine, deep sleeper. So Damian Martinez, if rookie running back, and I said this before, if you take Mason to score 10 TDs, you don't have to land it. Like, even if you had 8 or 9, it's kind of up to the community.
Right.
If someone said JD5's going to win the Super Bowl, and there was nothing else close, like that would have been pretty damn good. You know, that would have been pretty. That would have been up there as a potential winner. Now, granted, if one lands and is as bold, it will win. But I'm just saying, like, if we get down to like, let's say a bunch of those Mason 7 TDs, let's say Charbonnet 11 TDs, those are all good and you land them great. But they're not going to win a bold prediction contest unless you face somebody that says JD5 is going to win the Super Bowl and he doesn't win. Now it's like, okay, he didn't win, but they're still bold. But that now Mason 7 TDs probably competes with that. So like you could say Mason 10 TDs, you know, and I think that would be enough to win maybe.
Yeah,
but I don't know that you'd be ruled out if you got 9. So I'll make that rule up front that you can not hit it and still get it. It just depends on, you know, and I kind of am the one that narrows it down. But if people were to say, Smitty, you should be adding this, when Smitty, and I didn't add it, I'm almost guaranteeing you that if I see enough people calling it out, I'll throw it into the vote. You know what I mean? Because I want you guys to vote. I'm gonna limit it and narrow it down based on what I think. But I certainly missed something that you guys want on there. Definitely throw it on. But anyway, so if anybody wants to know, just say if you want to be on the bold prediction board, $50 super chat, and then put your bold prediction in the super chat. Then I write it up on the board all year. It'll go up there. The only ones that are off the table are Neighbors, JSN, and Genty, unless you make a different prediction like JSN will bust or Neighbors will bust or Genty will bust. So because those are already accounted for. So if you guys want to drop something bold like that, by all means, have at it. $50 dollar.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say when you said bust, I was gonna ask, do you have any guys right now that, like, looking at ADP, you're not even like going near them? Like, is there any like weak stay away in the
to
top,
the planet known as
30 or 40 of ADP?
Yeah, I'll have a bus show coming up here soon. If I had to throw a name or two out of who will probably be on that show or soon to be on that show, I'd probably say, you know, what's funny is I look through like even the top 20 and I'm not really feeling as strong enough to stay away from any of those guys. I value them a little differently at their ADP, but I don't see like a bunch of guys standing out even early on in the draft. That could change, but I would say like James Cook feels, and I've been pushing this out there a lot, he feels like somebody that people are going to expect way too much out of, and the fact that he's going at third round territory, and I've got my midseason monster as Ray Davis anyway. It seems like a potential recipe for disaster. It doesn't mean I don't like James Cook. I just think third round we're asking way too much. I think Mike Evans in the third round is also kind of a tall order with how many seasons this guy's played and there's likelihood of injury. Christian McCaffrey, definitely an avoid at a certain point. He's the only one inside the top 20 at all that is kind of like a total avoid for me. So Christian McCaffrey,
nothing egregious.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, would I take him in like a best ball league or two? Sure, but that's because it's a $3 or $5, and I just want to cover I'm hedging my bets a little bit, but it does scream stay clear. So Christian McCaffrey inside the top 20, Mike Evans and James Cook in the third round. I know James Conner did well last year, but I still don't love James Conner because of all the mileage and injury history, and I think Benson's going to come on strong. I think Devontae Adams is creeping into that scary territory of, he just becomes Julio Jones. People think he could do it for 2 more years. They stretch it out. The belief is there, and he just continues to fail people. So I'd say those are some early ones.
Okay. Yeah, because like you said, when I was just like glancing at it quick, there's nothing like, like flashing sign that says like run away from this guy.
I mean,
really,
kind of Christian McCaffrey, kind of, because where did he go in this draft? He went 14. So it depends where he goes. If he goes like a
I'd have a hard time
3.1 or 2.10, and you're just I could see him producing well enough if you cuff him in best ball. And I'm not drafting McCaffrey in a single non-best ball league, a buddy league.
No,
None of those leagues I recommend anybody taking him in. In best ball, I could take a gamble or two on him, but that's, again, hedging bets. I don't think it's smart drafting, and if he was going in the third, I would. But I think at 14 overall, I'll probably never take him even in best ball. All right.
Yeah, I get you.
All right, but yeah, I'll do a video on that. It's a good topic.
All right. Thanks, Smitty.
All
Talk to you
right,
later.
later, bro. I'm so sorry,
Bye.
Jonathan. Jonathan, you still here, bro? You dropped a super chat a while ago. Gary, you still here? Let me hit these 2 super chats. Appreciate you guys dropping these $5 haulers. Jonathan, appreciate you. Jonathan said, do you remember the first fantasy team you drafted? Unfortunately, I do. Well, no, I don't remember the entire team I drafted, but I drafted Troy Aikman in the first round because I didn't play fantasy football yet, so I had no clue that he wasn't good at fantasy. That was a harsh, rapid lesson that I learned right from the jump when I started playing fantasy football for the first time, because I had no clue. You know, I went over to my buddy's house. We simulated some drafts on Tecmo Bowl. And you did it on the newspaper. There's no internet. There wasn't even internet. There was no. It wasn't like, oh, internet was just, no. There was no internet. Only through the military was there internet. So there was absolutely zero internet. You did the draft by hand. You did the stats via the newspaper. There was not a single website out there. It was all fantasy magazines. There was not a single fantasy football website known to man. And I drafted Troy Aikman. But I don't remember my whole team. But it's a great question. And that's you know, when I began my fantasy endeavors. Thank you, appreciate you, Gary, dropping the super chat here. Jonathan, you there? 12-team Superflex standard: Lamar, Stafford, JJ McCarthy, Kyron, Bijan, Mason, Wright, Jamar, Debo, Kupp, T. Higgins, Pearsall, Jennings, Whittington. You trading T for Penix Jr.? Man, I mean, Stafford's pretty good though, you know, and T serves his purpose for you pretty well. But at the same time, you got Jamar, you still got Debo, Kupp, Pearsall, Jennings is really good. I like Whittington a lot. I would take Penix Jr. I mean, if anything, Penix Jr. will probably have more trade value than T. Higgins, might even already. And you got to assume Stafford's going to get hurt. McCarthy, though, I know McCarthy could be good. But, I mean, you could bank on McCarthy and say I'm keeping T. That's a tough one. Can we ask the chat on that one? Chat, if you already have McCarthy, Stafford, and Lamar in a super flex, are you trading T. Higgins if you're him? And you've got Jamar, Kupp, Debo, Devontae Smith, Jennings. You got some good receivers, though. I'd probably take Penix Jr., but that's because I'm super high on Penix Jr. I think he's going to be, you know, potentially a star, like a superstar. So do you guys agree or disagree? Would you wait? I need a receiver pretty badly here. I guess Calvin Austin. I don't know. I don't even know if I like that pick at all. I like the squad, though, quite a bit. Here's the squad. I got Josh Allen, Fields, Geno. I timed out on Geno. Ashton Genty, Amarian Hampton, ETN Cuff to Bigsby. I got Damian Martinez, a sleeper running back, rookie running back. Cam Scattaboo, Neighbors, McMillan, Debo, Amari Cooper, Jordan Whittington, Jalen Naylor, Calvin Austin, Laporta, Kelsey, Ingram, and Ben Sinnott. 20-man draft, so it's a little bit easier to take a bunch of players at a certain position that you normally don't stack. I like that. Gary, appreciate you a lot, and I wish Jonathan was still here. I don't know if Jonathan's here. Jonathan, let me know if you're here, bro. Sorry it took me so long to get to your message. It was a great question about who I drafted first when I first started playing fantasy. What's everybody saying on this one? Vote on this one. Penix Jr. or T. Higgins in this situation here for Gary. For Jerry. Sorry, Jerry. I take Penix. That's me. Jerry, look for the chat if they're going to chime in or not. I'm not sure. Thank you, Jerry and Jonathan. Jonathan, again, let me know if you're here. I feel bad. I read your message late. My team is full. We're closing this draft down. Here is the board. My team, again, is as follows. Josh Allen, Justin Fields. I timed out on Geno. Genty, Hampton, ETN, Scattaboo, Bigsby, Cuff to ETN. Martinez, Neighbors, Ted McMillan, Debo Samuel, Jordan Whittington, Amari Cooper, Jalen Naylor, Laporta, Kelsey, Ingram, and Sennett. I went kind of like bully tight end in a way. Went with rookie RBs. Probably going to get a low projected score because I don't. I have a lot of rookies and they don't score well in the projections. They don't. So I'm probably going to have a very lowly ranked team, which I could care less about. Doesn't mean anything to be honest. Sometimes it's a badge of honor to have a system or ESPN rank your team as a C average. 27.99, higher than I expected. Much higher than I expected. G Money, I think, is one of our people here. Nice squad there. Bijan, JT, Brees Hall, robust RB. I just don't know about a Doomsday. Metcalf's a pretty crafty receiver in that approach. Cooper Kupp, maybe. That could be okay. The tight ends are a little bit bleak. Could be okay. Depends on Loveland, but solid team. G Money, I don't mind that at all. I don't know. I don't recognize all of the names. I'll see you all tomorrow. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you again, Jonathan. If you're out there, again, Jonathan, my answer was I don't know all the players. I want to say, like, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown, like all those guys were in my earlier years. It was Curtis Martin, Emmitt Smith. Those were all the players. Michael Irvin that were on teams that I remember, but I don't remember a single. Like, you're talking about so many years ago. We're talking about 30 years ago. All right. See you all later.
He's BTJ. What you gonna do? He's BTJ.
Hide your mamas.
He's gonna put it on you. He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name. BTJ is going to put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do. BTJ is going to put it on you. There's not a single thing that you can do.